You're listening to Wanderlust Diaries, the ultimate travel podcast for solo female travellers 40 and beyond who are ready to explore the world. Join me, Terry Reynolds, where we talk all things travel and why it's so important and what's stopping you from getting out there and exploring the world. We'll discuss the steps you can take now to fix it, empowering you to ignite your curiosity and set your heart free so that you have the confidence to travel wherever you want, whenever you want. Offering insights, tips, hacks, and remarkable women's stories along the way. So come on, grab your passport, pack your sense of adventure, and get ready to be inspired. Whether you're a first-time solo traveller or a seasoned globetrotter, Wanderlust Diaries is your community of like-minded souls, uplifting and supporting women over 40 who dare to explore. Okay, so this is our very first Wanderlust Diaries sofa session, and I'm joined by Julie Wong. So Julie, cheers to this. Cheers to our very first sofa session. I've never done one of these before, so I'm hoping this will be the first of many. So
Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Julie Wong, we've known each other for quite a few years now. And we first met on Clubhouse, wasn't it? The audio platform. A few years ago, probably about 2020, something like that, 2021. Quite a few years ago.
I think I went onto Clubhouse 2021.
Yeah, I think
it was the second summer of lockdown.
Yes, I think I was the same. So that's where we got to know each other. We finally met in person when we went to Brighton, and we met at a marketing conference there. We then joined the same online business course program, and realised after chatting that we actually had quite a few things in common, especially around travel. So of course, once we started, well, you just couldn't shut us up, could you?
No. Well, you know,
and we haven't stopped since. It's been a revelation all around. And like I said, that was it. So we swapped stories, and Julie is my perfect guest for today. Julie is actually a financial fortune teller. This is where she helps businesses grow through their numbers. So welcome to the podcast, Julie. Thank you so much for joining me today on your sofa. Over to you a second and tell us a little bit more about you.
Oh my goodness. No, thank you. I mean, my new moniker is the financial fortune teller, because basically I help businesses understand their future by looking at what their numbers are telling them, because everything you do in business has a financial impact. And so if you can see what's happening in your business now through your numbers, then you can see what you can do to change it. So it's all about strategy and understanding that.
Love that. Absolutely love that. And for anybody in business, obviously they will understand.
I really hope so. I'm trying to get people educated, for those who don't know, and there's a lot of people that are a bit scared about their numbers.
Yes.
So I try to take the fear out of finance for business owners and those who don't take ownership of the numbers either. And it's a bit of both.
Yeah, and I think, for those of us, me included, where I just don't understand maths really at all.
It's not maths though. If you can add and subtract, that's it.
Yes, I know. And I think that the fact that you can make it a bit more simplistic so that people like me can understand it.
I do try.
Win-win situation.
Yeah, I do try. It's a language, and you don't need to know everything all at once.
Yeah.
It's a vocabulary. You literally learn the A for apple, B for ball, and then you just get the ball rolling on that basis. And it's just progressive. Go at your own pace. Yeah. But everybody can do it, because
that's really good to know.
Yeah, everybody can do it. We just go at our own pace and just not be intimidated by it. And it's a slightly mindset as well, because I think especially in the UK, the kind of approach to maths can be a little bit intimidating. They kind of make it out to be this like massive thing, but actually it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, definitely.
If you can slice and dice, you can do it.
Yeah, great. So there we are. Julie's your woman. Great, so we know that little bit about you now. So tell us more about your travels, and how did travel play a part in your life?
It took me a long time to qualify as an accountant, for one reason or another. And it wasn't until I kind of qualified that I actually started going away, because before that I was like, all my holidays I used to spend studying for my chartered accountancy exams and things like that. And then after, I remember, I'd gone away for a few weekends maybe, but it wasn't, I think my first proper holiday when my director said to me, Julie, well actually didn't call me Julie, went Wong, just go. So my first holiday was, he said, "Oh, just go to Egypt." I was a bit intimidated going to Egypt on my own. I mean, literally, he gave me his Lonely Planet, I think it was, he gave me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not really sure. And then he said, "Well, why don't you just go on a Mark Warner holiday?" Because it was an adult only. It was when Mark Warner used to do the smaller resorts, but now they've kind of merged them all into big ones, but they have an adult only bit. I mean, I was single, and I just wanted to go away, and I thought, there's a bit more of the world I want to see. I mean, I don't know whether you must have heard this phrase, like, the world is a book, and if you only stay in one place, you've only read the first page.
Absolutely, yes.
And there's so much more, and it's like with anything with knowledge, isn't it? The more you know, the more you realise you don't know.
Yes.
And it's slightly a little bit about confidence. And so going on that Mark Warner holiday was a really big thing for me, actually. I shared a room with a girl, and I learned a lot about myself, actually. I realised that I was an outdoors person, and I used to be scared of water. And then I remember, like, I then met this girl called Alison on the holiday, and we went on more holidays together. But she said, "What do you mean you were scared of water? Every time I saw you, you were wet." And I learned to water ski, never water skied in my life, learned to windsurf. I'd done a bit of windsurfing before, but it was a great holiday for me to discover my outdoor self.
You just gave it a go. It's like, feel the fear and do it anyway.
It was a little bit like that. Yeah, it was a little bit like that. I think the only thing that not the only thing, but one of the things that holds me in good stead is actually I'm quite a sociable person.
Yes.
But even those who are a lot quieter were actually quite okay, because those who are sociable will actually naturally bring you into the group.
Yes.
Because you are on that kind of trip where everybody wants to embrace everybody.
Yes.
I mean, I'm definitely like that. If I meet people on their own, you bring people into the group.
Yeah, so I agree. And I also think that with solo travelling, it's a case of, if you want to be on your own, you can. You can go and just sit quietly by yourself because you're on your own. But like me, most of the time, I was always in the thick of it and just talking to people. And you just, I think sometimes it's a bit of a skill as well, learning to do those things, especially for those people who are listening who've never done this. I mean, they think, "Oh, it's all right for you to say that because you've been doing it for years." But you start off and you don't do it. It's like, I suppose my skills about of talking to people, people I didn't know, comes from years ago when I was worked as a trainer.
Yeah.
In the NHS, and I was training staff and that. And I remember that job, doing that for the first time. I don't think I ate for about 2 weeks because I was so nervous of speaking in front of people. But it's something that it's like with anything. Once you've done it a few times, your confidence grows.
Yes.
And so those who are listening who are a little bit worried about it, they may think that won't happen, but it absolutely does, doesn't it?
Yeah. Do you know? I mean, I love the Winston Churchill phrase: "Is fear is a reaction, very normal, but courage is a decision."
Yes.
And I don't know with you, her, but do you remember Melissa Curran?
Yes.
So Melissa then said, confidence is the outcome, because you do.
Yes.
Because it's so true. I love that, and I thought, oh my God, that really resonates with me. I mean, it's not just about travelling, but it resonates with me in
so many other
business.
Ways,
so many other ways, because there's so many things I don't want to do in business. Going, oh my God, you just got to chuck yourself
in there,
out of there, and do it.
Yeah,
and it's amazing. And then I've gone, and sometimes a soft way into travelling alone sometimes is actually fly alone, and then you go across the other side to meet somebody else that know on the other side of the world, because I've done a few of those trips as well.
Yes, that's a brilliant way to do it.
Because your friends will, if you go and visit a friend that lives abroad, and yes, they'll make time for you, but they'll signpost you.
Yes, to wherever.
Yeah, I mean, I remember going, so after I qualified in December, and then in February I went across to Vancouver to stay with a university friend of mine.
Yeah.
And she was living out there for 12 months, and she literally said, "Julie, here's the car keys."
Yeah.
And she said, "Grouse Mountains up there."
Off you go.
And pointed me in a certain direction, and I went skiing.
Yeah.
It was that sort of thing. I'm as a native in London where I live, I love wandering around on my own anyway. So if you imagine just doing that in another city and just going like, I've just moved into another city, it's no real difference because you're only seeing your immediate proximity anyway.
Yes.
So that proximity, you could take it out and put it in another country. Yes, culturally you might be different, but it makes it even more fascinating, and you never know what you're going to learn.
And and the boundaries are widened then as well. The perimeter of that is widened because you're going out. You've got that confidence because you're doing it in a different country.
Yeah,
the confidence. The confidence comes with that, and talking about walking around wherever you live, wherever you're staying. I always did that. Wherever new I went, I always wanted to walk everywhere because I've just got a really good feel for it.
Yeah, me too.
Or get on a bus.
Yeah, me too. You have to see it at ground level.
Yes.
Try unless you can't avoid it. Try and do stuff at ground level, but be careful. I mean, especially go to some places because I mean, in America, sometimes you go from one block and you walk 2 blocks down and you're into a completely different neighborhood.
Yes.
So you be mindful of things like that and just talk to the hotel concierges or if you're in a hostel. I mean, hostels are a great way.
Aren't they?
Because everybody's just like so at base level. There's none of this, I live in this room and they shut the door and that's it.
Yeah.
It's much more communal when you share in a space.
It's
and something.
Fantastic
I mean,
way to...
But I didn't learn that until, I went on my major trip. But I think the most amazing thing that travelling abroad gave me was then I came back to London and I looked at London in a completely different light.
Yeah.
And that gave me a whole load of pleasure just living back in my own home city, because I love architecture. That's me. I'm not a people watcher so much. I'm an architectural person, so my eyes are up there.
Looking at,
I'm always up there. And then I came back to London and I was then enjoying London with that kind of
like you said,
aspect as well.
Different eyes.
Yeah. It's amazing. It just gives your whole life a different context.
Yeah. So okay, let's move on to your really big trip then.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. And how long were you away for?
I was away for 7 months.
Wow. Yeah.
So basically what happened was I took a career break. I'm actually a reluctant accountant, an accidental accountant, and so I haven't always loved my career. So I then took a career break and I then decided to go to, I thought I'd either go to Asia or South America.
Yes.
And I couldn't decide, metaphorically speaking, turning left or turning right.
Yes.
And I thought at the time, Southeast Asia is so well travelled. It's probably changed most significantly already, and it will carry on changing, but it won't change as dramatically as perhaps South America, which is becoming into being a lot more popular. This is back in 2010. And so I thought, do you know what, I'll go to South America. And because I was leaving in February, I thought, I'll just take 6 months, I think, because I couldn't decide how long. But I thought if I come back in 6 months' time, it'll be 2009, be a good time to look for a job again, because after post-summer holiday.
Yes.
Because that was the rationale.
Yes.
That was my rationale. I had an amazing travel agent, because my experience was that in South America, I knew I wanted to cover most of the countries. But I didn't know where to start. I didn't know whether to start at the top or start at the bottom.
Sometimes you just need a bit of advice.
Yeah, you just need a bit of advice. Didn't know whether to start at the top or start at the bottom, where to go clockwise or anti-clockwise. And that's all I needed was a nudge. And I remember going to Trail Finders, which was based in Waterstones in Piccadilly, downstairs in the basement. And the guy was so patronising. He was awful. He basically said, "What, you've never travelled alone?" I went, "No, not really." And do you speak Spanish? No. And he was like, "Well, I think you should go on a package." And I just thought, you really don't know me, because by this time, I mean, that just added fuel to the fire. I was like, I'm blooming well going to go do it now. And years ago, I then spoke to an online travel agent. I'm not allowed to do what I'm mentioning, but he's still my travel agent. So 2010, where are we now? 24 now. 14 years later, we still talk. Even during the pandemic, he rang me up and said, "Julie, I just thought I'd give you a call and see how you are."
Just have a chat.
Just have a chat. And I said, you must be really...
We've made that connection now, haven't
Oh
you?
my God. And I recommend him to other people and other friends. And he's lovely. He tried to get me back from Hong Kong in 2019 during the riots. Because I got stuck in the riots in Hong Kong airport in the sit-in. Did I tell you that?
No, I didn't.
That's another travel story.
Oh, wow.
I've got stuck in landslides, and it's exciting. It's the stories that people are like, "Oh really? Oh wow!" You can if you think you're boring, go travelling, and then you'll have lots of stories to tell over dinner table.
Yes, it's very true.
Yeah, but I love Tristan. So I spoke to Tristan, and he said, And he said, well, because I said, like, there's 3 things I want to do in South America. I want to trek Patagonia, I want to see the Atacama Desert, and I want to go to Iguazu Falls.
Ooh.
And I said, I don't care about anything else. And he said, well, okay, if you want to go trek Patagonia, back in February, I booked in January, flew out in February. I'm a last minute traveller.
Yes.
And he said, well, if you want to do that, then what you need to do is go to Patagonia first. And he said, why don't you fly to Buenos Aires and then go to Patagonia, do your thing, and 6 months later, I'll fly you out of Rio. So that was the only thing I had on my agenda.
Yes.
And that's all I had
Everything
booked.
in between then was down
Everything,
to you.
everything in there in the middle was kind of random. So I did feel insecure. I mean, I flew to Buenos Aires. It's about 3 days there. Flew down to Patagonia, and I pre-booked my glamping trip. I was in eco camps.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, it was glamping. So basically, it's like these pods. So if you think about what was that thing, Eden Project.
Yes.
But it's like a miniature version of Eden Project, like little pods, and it's so cute. It's so cute.
Oh,
I mean,
it
was amazing. But the reason, my rationale was because I've got a bit of a bad back, so I didn't want to carry all my stuff doing the trekking. I just wanted to carry my day stuff.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
So what we did with lots of, it was called the W Trek basically, and we did it in different sections. And so I ended up being poorly on the first couple of sections. I ended up with diarrhea, a bit of food poisoning, but that's fine. But they were so lovely. They came and said, "Julie, can we get some soup?" And I was like asleep in one of the communal camp. I was like, "Julie, do you want some soup?" And I was like, "Yes, please." Like, "Shall we change channel for you?" Yes, please. They were so adorable. I mean, really.
Well looked after.
I've just got goosebumps. The people I met on that trip.
Yeah.
My biggest blessing in life are the people I've met, and travelling has added so much more to my life, enriched my life so much.
It does, doesn't it? And especially the connections you make. What about being submerged into different cultures? How did you kind of blend in or find them? Did you find it easy?
I didn't mind. I mean, I think I remember going to Italy for one of the first times. I remember being in Milan and getting so frustrated because I speak Cantonese and I speak French. And I'm like, I'm in this other country and going like, I can't communicate. It was like, it was frustrating.
Yeah.
And I think that was my very first experience of being in a country where I couldn't communicate, because obviously I'd been to Hong Kong before because of family. And then obviously, being in the UK, you speak English, but then it's the first time I've been in another country going like, I can't communicate. And so I'd got over, so having done the Italy thing, several, like years and years before, but being in South America, it was a little bit frustrating, but it was doable. It was totally doable because I was traveling and I was staying in hostels. You kind of in a group, and you do kind of work it out. I mean, I learned a lot of Spanish. I mean, I bought a Spanish phrase book, and I learned French, and I think I'm lucky and slightly linguistic, so it's not for everybody, but you can communicate. I mean, and locals. Do you know what? 99% of the world are wanting to help you.
Yes.
They want to help you.
No, I agree, they do, yes. The amount of people I met on my travels that, this is how, especially when I was travelling around the world and I've been away from home for, almost a year. Oh, come and visit, to bump into ladies. This one lady at Lax Airport, she lived in Nashville, she had a guitar slung across the back. There's my address, she said, if you come to Nashville, come and stay with me.
Yeah.
And I had that a few times. I've been on some coaches as well, some little tours that I did along the way, and they all just want to.
Everybody was helping.
I know.
The people like that. I mean, I have so many stories. I mean, there was so when I was right early on when I was in Patagonia, and I was feeling really insecure. So when I finished the camping trip, I was going like, I don't know where I'm going now. I don't know where I'm going, and I went back to a place called this town called Calafate, and I remember I was going on to another. El Chalten, which is another small town, which is like a couple of hours bus ride away. Yeah. But El Chalten, apparently, according to Lonely Planet, didn't have cash points, so you needed money to take to El Chalten. And I remember going around like on the morning after I'd come back from the camp thing, and I bumped into a guy called Justin, and Justin I met at the camp, like on the very last day. He was with his girlfriend, and then we ended up sitting on the bus back together. And the next day, bumped into him and his girlfriend. And he said, "Julie, you're right." And I was like, "Yeah, I can't find any money. All the cash points are empty." And he's like, "How much do you need?" And I went, "Oh no, $100." And he went like, "Here you go, Julie." And he gave me $100.
Yeah.
Actually, no, he gave me $150. He said, "Oh no, take $150."
Oh, wow.
And he said, "Look, if you never pay me back,
Yeah.
I've spent more than that on a night out." He's from New York. He said, "I've spent more than that on a night out in New York." And I just thought, oh my God.
know.
And I'd only met him the night before.
Oh.
I'd only met him the night before. And he was just so kind. So basically, I emailed myself the fact that I owed Justin money. And this is back in February. And I said, I'm not going to be back to London until September.
Yeah.
And then about May time, he emailed me and said, "Julie, you okay?" I went, yeah, I'm fine. And I'd misspelled his name because I was sending out, because I wasn't doing a travel vlog, anything like that.
Yeah.
And so I was just sending an email out to my closest friends saying, "Oh, this is what I've done in the past month."
Yes.
And I put Justin on that list, but I'd misspelled his name, so he wasn't getting them. And I said, "Oh, I'm really sorry." And I was in Chile at the time. And he said, No, I was just worried about you. I hadn't heard from you.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I got back to London, and I've got a friend who lives in New York. And I said, I bought him a whole bunch of Fortnum and Mason cookies and conserves. I said, "Jeff, can you..." Jeff's another story. Yeah. And I said, "Jeff, can you take this stuff and take it to him personally and give him the money back?" Yeah. And then Justin messaged me back and said, like, "I can't believe you did that." Because I just thought, it's my belief that you've got to pay it forward. And it wasn't just the fact that if I had given Justin a bad experience about lending money, that would have stopped him.
Yes.
That energy would have been hit, and I would have been responsible for stopping that energy. Yeah. Whereas now, that energy is free to flow. Whether he chooses for it to flow and lend more money, that's fine. I haven't stopped it.
Yes. I love that story.
But Jeff, my friend who lives in New York, I met him on a flight to New York in 1997.
Oh, wow.
Because my friend in London, she worked for the Sheraton Hotel Group, and she was over in New York on a conference, and so she said, "I'll stay longer." And then another friend of hers flew over. I didn't know her either, so we all stayed in one of the Sheratons in New York, and I flew across alone, and so I met Jeff on the flight, basically.
Yeah. And are you still in touch now?
Oh my God, Jeff's one of my best friends right now. So it's 1997.
Wow. Oh my God, that's amazing, isn't it?
No, 2007. No, what year am I talking about? 2007. No, 2007. God, 18 months. No, 2007. But still.
Almost 20 years ago, nearly.
Yeah, it is nearly 20 years ago. No, Jeff is one of my dearest friends.
Oh.
And then he's given me keys to his house he had a place in Key West. Again, I went on my own.
Yes.
But it gives you so much confidence. People have keys to give you, then the world starts opening up to you.
No, it does. And don't you find that once you've done it that first time, it's like, I always say this, that, I want to give people that feeling. Yeah. That very first time that you do something like that, the smallest of steps. It doesn't matter if you're just going into a coffee shop for the first time on your own, you've never done it.
Yeah.
And you're 50 something. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It's that feeling you get when you walk out then and you're like, yes, I've done it. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to go a bit further. Yeah. Then you want to do a bit more. And it just it builds that confidence.
Absolutely.
And it's just that feeling.
Yeah, I think with anybody who's scared about travelling on their own, think about all the other things they've done in life, not necessarily about travel, anything, all the things that they've done that they have powered through. Because it's the same thing. It's just this is just another thing that is new, and you just got to open the door and find out what's on the other side.
Yes. No, you're absolutely right there. And that's why I'm hoping the listeners will get from these stories, you know, that come out every week, so that they understand that we've all had that kind of anxiety, a bit of fear, thinking, "Oh, I don't know, I'm not sure, but I'm doing it anyway."
Yeah, I did that. So with my South America trip, when I picked 6 months, I was thinking I could have hated it, but I knew that if I didn't like it, I could have got on the next plane home.
Yes. This is it. So you just get on the plane home.
You just get on the plane home. There's nothing stopping you in getting on a plane home.
That's it.
Everything is solvable. Just make sure you've got enough cash that you have access to.
Yeah.
And when I was travelling, I thought there were two things that were irreplaceable. Actually, the one that was the most irreplaceable were my photographs. I was so paranoid about my photographs.
Yes.
I downloaded my memory cards. I mean, the cloud didn't exist back then, apart from potentially people were uploading photographs to Facebook. I wasn't a Facebook person. So basically, I was downloading it. I was going into, because there are lots of these tech cafes, I was buying discs. I was burning 2 versions of the disc, mailing one version home
Yes.
and hanging on to the other version.
Yes.
I was so paranoid because
Just in case.
you just can't. The photographs are
Well-
irreplaceable because even your passport's replaceable, your money's replaceable. You look
photographs.
you look after your health and your
Yeah.
safety as much as you can.
Yeah.
Just be sensible. It's all about being sensible, and then everything else you are okay.
Yes.
7 months actually, because I pushed it out to 7 months. I was 6 months. I pushed it out to 7 months. I called Tristan up. Said, Tristan, give me 2 more weeks, and he was like, call me back. Went, Julie, you've got another month. Went, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got a bit more time to play with then.
Yes.
So it was amazing.
Yeah. Talking about
I would have gone and stayed up longer.
Yeah.
But I had to come back for another trip, which I won a holiday on the radio. It's real. I won a holiday on the radio. They do exist.
I know, because you hear these things, don't you? But I've known anybody who's actually, so I know you now. We all know somebody now who's won it. But going back to the photographs, when I was travelling, we didn't have phones, mobile phones or anything to take photographs with. I had to use old film, 35mm film in my camera, and I had to have them all printed off. And then what I did was I shipped them all back home to my parents.
Yeah.
Because obviously I couldn't carry.
How long were you away?
A year.
Yeah. I mean, I shot. So one of my trips I did in 2005. It wasn't my first trip, but it was alone. No, it was. I went alone, but it was on a tour to South America. So it wasn't my first time in South America.
Yeah.
I went with Journey Latin America to Peru and Bolivia. I did the Inca Trail.
Oh, yes.
I did the Inca Trail back then.
Okay. Yeah.
And I had a small compact camera.
Yeah.
And it was a 21-day trip. I shot 18 rolls of film. It cost me something like 200 and something pounds to process them. And I went like, I'm going digital.
Yeah.
But to be honest, film photographs were so much better. When I bought the digital camera, it was never nearly the same. And it's different when you have a film camera. Your eyes up close and you're actually seeing it through the lens.
Yes.
When you see it on
So
a small
different.
screen, actually,
Yeah.
because I love photography. You become detached.
Yeah.
It is much more detached than looking at it that way.
And isn't it lovely though to have those photographs in your hand?
I need to print them out.
I mean, we just don't do it. The only time we print a photograph now is if we're getting it framed to give.
I need to
as a gift or something.
I still need to. I've got loads of empty photo albums in my. But I need to print them out.
I know, because when I got back, I had to buy a load of albums, as you can imagine, photograph albums to put all these photos in. And
I think I shot something like 20,000 photographs
I don't have
in my
any
7
idea.
months. I can't remember. It was something ridiculous number.
But my one camera actually burnt out by the time I got to Singapore. And he said, how many photographs? And I told him how many reels and stuff. And he said, no wonder it's broken, he said. So luckily from him, I bought a refurbished camera in Singapore.
Well, I was going to say that you're in the best part of the world to buy tech gear,
exactly,
though. You're in
yes.
Asia. It's not like you're somewhere,
No, I know.
somewhere
It was
else.
fantastic.
Asia's
yes.
the perfect place to buy tech
Even
gear.
if it was 1999, it was it was a long time ago. But yeah, that's exactly what I did. And that camera lasted me then. I think I've still got it somewhere.
I've still got my camera. I'm very attached to my camera equipment.
I've still got it. I've still got when I was in Australia, I did buy a mobile phone. It's this big orange thing that I could only use in certain parts of Australia. But and there's still one message on there that I've not read, which I'll never be able to read. But yeah,
That was your date.
yeah.
You missed out there. That's your sliding doors moment.
I was on the plane, sorry mate, bye. So great, so you've done all of that travelling. When you got back from that, especially that longer trip, what lessons had you learned? What did you take away from that?
I can do anything. It really does. You're thinking, if you can survive in a different environment, find your feet. If you think about all the life skills that you hone,
Yep.
it is so reassuring. And I think people say like, oh, Julie, that was really brave. It didn't feel brave at the time. It didn't feel brave. But when you think back on it,
Yeah.
it's going to last me a lifetime. That courage, confidence. That's probably a really good message, actually. That's a really good reminder. I should remind myself of that. in my normal life when I kind of look
Absolutely.
out about, you know, all the
Yeah.
things I don't do.
Because we don't do it enough.
You don't do it enough. You learn so many social skills.
Yeah.
I went across looking for my light bulb, as I call it, around my career.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we're talking about it, I think it's given me my light bulb moment around my personality. Come to think of it, I mean, now I'm a business coach and a business mentor, and I remember I met Flavien, and he said, Julie, you can't help telling people where to go. In a nice way.
Yes. Disclaimer, everybody. In a nice way.
Because I would go somewhere and you'd be in a hostel and people would be going in different directions.
Oh, yes.
And you're going like, oh, you should go there, you should go see this and do this and do this.
Yes.
And I think that just made me realise the fact I love helping people.
Absolutely, it's because you've experienced those
Yeah.
feelings. It's all about the
Yeah.
feelings, isn't it? It made you feel great, so therefore you should try it as well because you'll feel just as great.
Yeah, but is it not everybody does that? They
Oh,
experience
gosh,
it in a
no.
sense, but it's me. I just want to share it.
Yeah.
I think I just love sharing my experience and my knowledge.
And it's great that other people want to listen, because not everybody wants to listen to what it is you have to say about travelling, in my experience anyway. And so for me, a couple of years ago, I found my little travel network that I know, no matter what I say or talk about, they're all in exactly the same boat, they're all the same as me, and they all just want to talk about travel. So that's my little group of...
You find your soul tribe.
Yeah, definitely.
You find your soul
I
tribe.
didn't realise, it's a couple of years ago, and I kind of had that they've been in the background all along, Travel Network, and all of a sudden I thought, why aren't I more involved in this? And like I said, I just dived a bit deeper, became unqualified then as a travel coach anyway through them. But it's just great to have those people to talk who are interested. And when you're staying at hostels, they're all interested, because first of all they're going to realise where you've been, what you've done. Oh, can you tell us about it? They want to know because they're just about to go themselves.
You do.
So
you learn so much.
Yeah,
we learn so much from people's experiences.
Yeah, I know.
I buy travel books. The thing is, I find it really difficult to plan, even if it's just a weekend trip to, another European city. I find it really hard to read on a page and understand where I need to go. I did have this idea that I ought to be recording, like podcasts or whatever. Obviously this has taken over, but always like an audio book and go like, do this tour. When you go here, this will be the starting point. Find, the Eiffel Tower at this point and go left here and you'll see this. And so, because I find it really hard to visualise. Whereas somebody's talking about it, it's for me, I can relate to it so much more.
I can relate to that.
So
as well.
I thought of having this, writing travel guides, but audio travel guides for that reason.
That'd be great. God, that'd be so helpful to so many people.
Oh, I'm sure somebody's doing it somewhere along the way.
Well, I'm sure they are, but they won't be doing it the same as you. Not the same way that you could do it. So
I suppose so. There's, if you think about how many different brands of travel books there are.
Yes. So there you go.
Yeah.
There's something else you can do because you haven't got enough to do as it is.
Oh no, not at all. Well, Terry, that's your. We do it together because you're the travel person.
I'm happy to collaborate.
Yes. Well, maybe we should.
Absolutely.
We should go travelling together. We haven't
Yes.
done that yet, have we?
And maybe that's what we need to do. Record our little tours that we go on wherever we go.
Yes.
Record them and then put them out there to help.
Yeah.
Whoever needs the help.
Yeah.
Right.
There you
Okay.
go.
To be discussed.
New idea for
Yes,
your travel
yes.
log.
So
The Wanderlust Diaries.
yes, I love that idea. I'm going to hold you to that. Great. So
I'm free next weekend, by the way.
I'm not.
I'm not really.
We will plan it. For some
I'm going
point.
with a French lady to an Ethiopian place.
Are you?
Yes.
Oh, right. Tell me more later, or do you want to talk about it now?
Not necessarily.
Tell us about it after the event.
Okay.
Yes,
all right. Happy to come back.
Yes, I think so. I think everybody I've spoken to on my podcast, we need a number 2. The second episode.
Okay.
Because everybody has got a lot more to say, and we nearly always go to an hour. So and I think we all.
You've got me really excited about it.
Well, this is it, isn't it? It's great, and we love talking about it. But as we were saying, you were talking about what you learned from the trips that you did, the travel trips, if you like, once you came back, the lessons that you learned. So obviously from there, then you were a reluctant accountant. You said, so Where did it take you then? Once you've been off travelling, you've come back, like you say, you do come back a different person. You realise you want different things in life.
Yes.
So where did that take you then?
I don't think it took me anywhere career-wise, but it definitely gave me a lot broader sense of life and appreciating me. And it's still a journey.
Yeah.
It's still a journey.
Yeah.
My niece is 26. I was talking to her yesterday. And she says she loves travelling. And I said, well, you know, you've got years on me because I didn't first go travelling until I was in my 30s.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean 39. You know?
Yeah, I think it was in my early 30s and I did my first. I think I will put down Mark Warner as that very first solo trip.
Yeah.
Solo trip. When I flew to Glasgow, so just after I qualified, I flew to Barcelona to meet my sister there. So I was on my own because she was at a conference, and so I explored Barcelona on my own.
Yes.
And what I think that was quite a good experience as well. This one we still had pesetas. This is pre-Euro, okay, pre-Euros. Yes. And I remember, so what I used to do, and I was very mindful. I knew this, like Google Maps or whatever. I had the paper map, and what I used to do was to fold the map into in just the immediate section.
Yes.
So when I was walking around the Gothic Quarter in Barcelona, I wasn't but I would keep it in my pocket, pull it out, and go look at it, and put it back in my pocket again.
Yes.
So that I wasn't like this. No, I wasn't on the street corner with like a massive
looking like a typical.
Tourist. I'd keep it very discreet, pull it out, look at it, go another couple of blocks, look at it again, and just be as inconspicuous as possible because I did some safety training because I worked for a charity.
I was going to talk about that, ask you about that now, around safety tips and safety when you're out travelling. So great,
So I did some personal safety training, and the guy that said to me, this is even back here, this is you on a daily life basis. He said, what people normally are, they're in a white zone. They're oblivious of their surroundings, they're oblivious of people around them because you're so used to it. You do your daily walk to the station or whatever it is, and you're just oblivious of it. You could not recount how many people you passed.
It's like automatic pilot.
It's complete autopilot. Yes. And he said, everybody ought to be in a green zone where you are just clocking, you're just observing. Oh, there's a person next to me. It's a bit like when you're driving, you're observing all the vehicles around you, you're clocking what's around you. Yep. So green zone is not a danger zone at all. It's just, you're just not in a fuzz, you're just not in your air bubble. You're just conscious of what's around you. And then it starts escalating into amber zone and then red zone. Red zone's obviously you need to get your hell out of there. But amber zone, you I've clocked that person and they're looking a little bit suspicious. What are they doing? Are they looking at me? Or, am I in a safe space? Or is there a doorway? Or something like that? Is somebody going to jump out at me?
It's about putting your phone away, isn't it?
Yes.
And not being on there and just wandering around
just
looking like you don't know what the hell's going on.
Yes. It's like these people that walk around their phones. Don't be a person that walks around their phone anymore. So in the same way, I was in the green zone because I had the map in my pocket, but I was clocking where I was, clocking who was around me. Being very aware because you are no more at danger in another city than you are in your own home city because you're probably more in danger in your home city because you are in your white zone.
Yeah.
You are in your white zone. I've got mugged in London.
Yeah.
But in South America, I lost two things. In 7 months, I lost 2 items. I lost my sunglasses and I lost my penknife. Oh no, 3 bottles and my water bottle because I filled up my water bottle, left it on the side, and jumped into the taxi. That was one thing. Yeah. I lost my sunglasses. I think they fell off my head and somebody nicked them. Well, and then I lost my penknife because I was in the hostel opening a bottle of wine and we left it on the side. I did lose my bank card as well, but that's because in South America they give you the cash first and then the bank card. So you on the autopilot with the UK, once you got the cash, you just bugger off, don't you?
You walk away.
So I then ended up to. So my tip for around that is, I was very lucky because the bank account I had, they flew out. They actually gave me the bank card. I went back to Buenos Aires. And I got my bank card there. I had to hang around a few more days than I had planned, just to get my bank card. It was also over Easter and stuff like that.
That's great though that they did that.
I was very lucky. So make sure. I'm a very well planned, organised person in that perspective. So with my passport, I had it scanned. I had a photocopied version in my backpack. I also emailed it to myself, so I had a digital version that I could pick up from my emails. So you're not then completely bereft of anything.
Yeah, I did that. I gave a copy to the people I worked with in the office because I went off on a career break. So I knew I was going back to my job.
Sure.
So I gave them a copy of everything in a big envelope, and I gave a copy of everything to my parents, just in case. And then I had a copy myself separately to my passport, etc. And when I went, I had this big thick wallet full of like traveller's checks and that type of thing, because that's what you use then. You know, you didn't have credit cards or anything. When I think about it now, back then to how the difference now, it's it's a world of difference.
Yeah, it's a different. I mean, technology's changed things. I mean, it's so much easier now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And talking about the safety aspect and all that type of thing that people need to be aware of is make sure you do your research as well before you go.
Yeah,
isn't it? Research. We've got everything at our fingertips now.
Don't become paranoid though.
Oh, no, but find out. If you're going, don't just go in blind. Find out about it. I only had a rough guide. I had the rough guide to the USA. I had the rough guide to India. I had the rough guide to Fiji.
Yeah.
It was a rough guide book. Yeah. I couldn't go on a phone and Google stuff.
No.
I had to go through a book. And
I've got a very well thumbed guide, and I'm such an information junkie, and I even then I was going like, do I buy the Lonely Planet or do I buy the rough guide? And it's like, it was a real toss up between the two. Yeah. And I end up going with the Lonely Planet in the end. Yeah. But I know just because. But I end up with the Lonely Planet to South America.
Yeah, exactly.
And but for example, I mean in Colombia they go like, oh my god, it's really dangerous. Yes, it is a dangerous place. Yeah. The south of it, crossing from the Ecuadorian border, you just make sure you go through it fast and don't be out at night and things like that. I mean,
common sense, a lot of it.
A lot of it is common sense. Yes. If you're not sure, I mean, I made sure that I knew how to get from my point of arrival in that any location to the place I was staying at.
Yes.
And what I did was I booked probably 1 or 2 nights. Of the hostels I was staying, because I was hostling 95% of the way, or 99% of the way. I did stay in a few nice hotels, so that I might suss out whether I like that hostel or not, and I could then extend it. Or sometimes I got to a place and then they're like, no, I had to move because it was a nice place and it was so popular. And so I couldn't stay on even if I wanted to. But it was great. I mean, some places I just stayed on and stayed on and stayed on and stayed on.
That's it, isn't it?
It's a bit like the Hotel California scenario. You can't.
You could never leave.
Never leave.
Never leave. Never leave.
Never leave.
Excuse me. So I love that. Brilliant. I've loved all of your stories. So the one thing I'd like to ask though, and I like to end the podcast usually on this, if I remember, I don't always remember, is there a piece of music that resonates with you from when you did your travelling? Like for me, when I was away, it was the Red Hot Chili Peppers, it was Californication, and there was a band called Morcheeba. And those were the 2 CDs that I played back to back practically as I was travelling around. Do you have any music that kind of takes you straight back there?
There's a couple of tracks. In South America there is one, but I can't remember what it's called now because I haven't played it in a while. And then it gets sampled into other things. But when I hear that takes me right back to South America. And then when I came back, and I'm a total Latina lover now.
Yes.
For one reason or another. So there is one piece of music. And another one was I went on a second Mark Warner holiday a year after my very first Mark Warner holiday, and I was hang on, it was that first, but was that very first
one.
It was the first one actually. Come to think of it, it was that one when I was away in Italy, and it's Lady.
Oh,
that one, because we were dancing to it in one of the evenings. I mean, that's when I first got one of my nicknames. I got nicknamed, like Energizer Bunny, because I was just like, I was going long after anybody else had stopped,
Very energetic.
I'm very energetic. I mean, that nickname pretty much is present through most of my life.
I was going to say, yes, I can definitely relate to that one.
I mean, music definitely.
It's like a soundtrack to your travels, isn't it?
It is a little bit like that. It is a little bit like that. Yeah, definitely.
I love that, and suddenly some music will come on, and it just takes me right back to whichever country I'm in. wherever I was at the time. And I just love it, and I've still got, because I bought CDs while I was travelling around,
right,
and I've still got them.
Brilliant.
You know, I've still got them there, and now and again I'll just get them out. You know,
smells and sounds are just like take you back to your memory.
Yeah.
I mean, so when I first went out to Peru, when I went to the Inca Trail and stuff like that, I remember being in Lima, and all I can remember is like car horns beeping there, beep beep beep, because what they do, they're driving around.
And they're talking to each other.
They beep to let you know that they're next to you, so don't just swerve over. Yes. And so everybody just beeping for every single reason.
Is exactly the same.
It's just like, I'm beeping because I'm here.
Yeah, or the tuk-tuks. They're all just beeping to each other all the time. And it was almost like they had their own little language. It was quite funny, really.
That did my head the first time. I don't remember the second time I was in Lima.
Yeah.
Don't remember.
It must have been, but maybe you were just already conditioned to it and expected
no
it.
idea. But even traveling around the different continents in South America, they're so different. They're so different. Every single country is so different.
Yeah, it's great though to have that opportunity, isn't it, to be able to go to the different countries. I haven't done a lot down in South America, so that's that's
another place. Well, I haven't done Australia. You've done Australia. I've not done Australia, and I haven't done Asia. So I'm not. Yeah. So there's a lot of continents I haven't covered. There's a lot of stuff I still want to do. There's
a lot of world out there.
Oh my goodness! Be
explored. You'll never ever do it all.
If I look at my Trip Advisor, is it Trip Advisor? Mm-hmm. I think about TripAdvisor because you put pins as to where you've been.
Yes.
It's mine is very obviously mine's naturally concentrated in South America for having spent 7 months.
Yeah.
I did 7 months and then I flew back out for another month.
Yeah.
And then a year later I flew out for another month.
Yes.
So I've covered a lot of South America.
So a lot of pins in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of pins in South America, and there are, of course, because then you just do lots of Europe. Yes. And then I've got 1 or 2 pins in. I've gone to Dubai, and then of course, I've been to Hong Kong, but I haven't done anything else in, like, I've not done Singapore or Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia. I've not done any of those places.
Cambodia is kind of Cuba's next for me. Hopefully.
I nearly went to Cuba.
Yeah.
Many years ago, but that was a good sign that I didn't get there because it was the person I would have gone with, and we would have killed each other. I would not be sitting on this podcast had we gone to work together.
Oh, there you go. You see, it wasn't
meant to be I would have either been dead or been incarcerated.
Oh, I'm sure we have more stories around that type of thing as well. Julie, it's been fascinating. Thank you ever so much for coming on to the podcast. Now, what I will do is, for the show notes, any links to your business, any photos, anything like that you think our viewers might be, our listeners I should say, would be interested in, we'll put them all in the show notes. And we will put in there a way to contact you if they want to, especially around your business that you have, around your... What's your name again? Financial
fortune teller.
That's it. Yes, financial fortune.
Yeah, teller. Taking the fear out of finance and finding your fortune.
Yes.
In your numbers.
I know. I love it. Yes, I love that. That's a brilliant name. Everybody needs a good name like that.
Yeah, but I like that's a new thing. Finding your fortune in your numbers.
Yes, I know. Excellent.
That's it's lovely. But I think the nice thing is it just opens you up to learning about yourself, and I think until you challenge yourself, you don't know what you've got underneath your skin.
Yes, you have to, as we said at the beginning, face your fear and do it anyway. Because if you don't, the alternative is to sit there and do absolutely nothing. And nobody wants to do that. But
some people find their gumption through adversity. Mm. Wouldn't it be nicer to find your gumption through something pleasurable instead?
Mm. Yes, and there are plenty of people out there that would do it that way as well. But there are too many people out there, I think, at the moment who they're teetering, They can sense that they want to do it. They know they want to do it. They're just so afraid of the unknown. But the theme running through all of my podcasts is around this, I want to demystify and simplify solo travel for everybody.
Yeah.
And we've all been there. We've all been a bit anxious, a bit fearful, but we've done it anyway. Yeah. And they can do it too.
But if you don't like it, just get the next flight home.
Yes, exactly.
It's like getting a job. You go to, join a job, don't like it, quit and just come back and start again.
Yes.
If you if you think about the worst case scenario and think, well, what would be the solution should you encounter that?
Mm. Mm.
There are some things, most things you can mitigate. planning your safety and things like that. Staying in a,
Yeah.
spending more money if you can,
Yes.
as much as possible sometimes, but not always. There's no guarantee with anything because, rubbish hotels come at any price.
Yes.
I think some of the nicest places I stayed in were the hostels,
Oh,
but
yeah, I can agree with that.
it's just the people. People make your life
That's it.
better.
Okay.
And really, if anybody is teetering on the edge, don't regret doing something.
Yeah. Regret the things you've...
Regret things you've done, but rather than regret things not done, because you can't change it.
Exactly, yeah. Take the bull by the horns and just do it.
Yes.
Okay.
Go for the Spanish horns.
Yes. Thank you, Julie. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
I've really enjoyed it. Thank you, Terry. I really enjoyed reminiscing.
Right, and then I'll cut it there. And that concludes this episode of Wanderlust Diaries, celebrating the fearless spirit of solo female travellers who are 40 and beyond. I hope you found inspiration, valuable insights, and a renewed sense of wanderlust. Thank you to all our incredible listeners who have joined us on this exciting journey. Remember, age should never stop your quest for adventure because the world is waiting for you to explore its wonders. And don't forget to join our community on social media to connect with fellow travellers and subscribe and review us on your favourite podcast platform. All links are in the show notes. Keep dreaming, keep exploring, and stay fearless. Until next time, this is Terry Reynolds signing off from Wanderlust Diaries. Psst, don't keep me a secret. Please tell your friends and fellow travellers.